That song is honestly like such a throwback to like 15-year-old Charlotte bopping in the classroom to all these bops. Hello everybody, my name is Charlotte and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today I'm going to be doing my September wrap up. This is a big one, kids, because it's my best reading month ever. I thought August was my best reading month ever, but it keeps getting better. I have, let me count in my trusty bullet journal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 books to talk about. I fully read 8 books this month, started 2 others near the end of the month, and DNF'd 1. 3 of the books I don't have with me because they're back at home, but 11 books. This is going to be a long one. We're going to be here for a while. Might actually go through a few statistics. I read 2 graphic novels this month. Okay, I lied. I actually have 12 books to talk about. I just didn't put one down. I need to do that then. I'll do that later. So 2 graphic novels, 2 audiobooks, one of them which I ended up finishing on the 1st of October, so I might include it, I don't know, I'll decide. I might end up including it in October's wrap up. 1 short story, and obviously the rest are just full books. Without further ado, let's just chronologically get into this. So the first book that I read this month was Heartstopper Volume 1 by Alice. This is Volume 2. I just realised this is Volume 2. I went, Heartstopper Volume 1, this is Volume 2. But I'll hold this one up anyway. I don't need to go into depth about this because I've talked so much about this book on my channel, in my reading vlogs, and just in general. We are all about Heartstopper. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars, and honestly, it's the greatest thing I've read in so long, and I just adored it. It was incredible. Trigger warning for sexual assault, homophobia, homophobic slurs, and kind of part of the concept, or what this book is about, is that one of the main characters is outed, but we know that happens before the book starts, but we do kind of see it during flashbacks. This book is about Nick and Charlie, and they go to the same school. At one point they are put into the same form room together, and they start to develop a friendship which starts to develop into more. Honestly, it's the cutest thing I've ever read. It stole my heart, made me feel so warm. I laughed, I cried, I smiled, I did all the emotions, and I just felt so good while reading this. I haven't read a graphic novel before I read this series, and honestly I'm so glad I did, because it was a great way to start. It's a great way for me to be like, yes, I want to read all the graphic novels now. And it is just so light and fluffy and cute, and it just makes you feel so good. I honestly would die for Nick and Charlie. I just want the world for them. I don't think I need to say much else about this book, about this series. Please read Heartstopper if you haven't, because honestly it's the cutest, warmest. I've said it. I've said what I needed to say about it. Just go and read it. The next book that I read this month was Devouring Ray by Christine Lynn Herman. I gave this a 4.25 out of 5 stars. This book is about our main character Violet, who moves to a new town, or a town that I think she knows that her mother used to live in when her mum was younger. She doesn't really know much about this town, but when she moves there, she kind of realizes it's a bit of a weird place. It's not like super weird, but it's a bit of a weird place. She realizes that there are these founding families, and the descendants and the children or whatever of these founding families are kind of treated like royalty. They are treated like the gods there, and she ends up befriending or kind of getting close to the other kids of the founding families, and then she finds out that she is a descendant of one of the founding families. Through all this, she finds out that the founding family descendants all have powers. The powers are all like descended obviously through the line, and that's why they're kind of treated like gods, because in a sense they run this town, they need to keep this town safe. She also learns that there's a kind of Stranger Things upside down aspect to this town, and it is called the Grey. Bodies start turning up, people start dying, and it's all about the mystery behind what is happening. Basically Violet learning about the town and about herself, and it's very witchy, and it's being compared to Riverdale and Stranger Things, and I completely understand those comparisons. That's the word, because Riverdale, I get it from the whole kind of the founding families part, but the whole small town diner high school kind of feel, like it's got that Riverdale feel. If you've seen Riverdale, it's got that feel. And I obviously understand the Stranger Things comparison because of the whole upside down, like there's another kind of version of this town. I gave this book a 4.25 out of 5 stars. I went into it like really hoping I would like it, because I've heard really good things about it. And obviously I did enjoy it because I gave it a 4.25 out of 5 stars, and I'm really excited for the second one just because of how the first one ended. I really liked the majority of the characters. I did think that some of the characters, like especially halfway through the book, felt a little bit undeveloped and a little bit 2D, and like I didn't really know them properly, even though they were meant to be some of our main characters, and I just felt like they were a bit bland. But obviously by the end of the book they start to flesh out a bit, and I ended up liking them and kind of seeing them as more 3D characters. Throughout the book I was really intrigued about what was going on, and it really kind of kept me reading. I just wanted to know what was going on, who was killing these people, and what all this weird untold stuff about this town, what all that stuff was. I really was intrigued to know that. So I did ultimately really enjoy this book, and it again is really atmospheric, really engaging and really immersive. You just want to keep reading. You just need to know what's going to happen, and I cannot wait for the second book that comes out in April next year, I think. The next book that I read this month was via audiobook, or I kind of finished it this month because I started it at the end of August. Clockwork Angel. I read this on audiobook and I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I don't really need to say much because this is a reread for me. I haven't reread or read Clockwork Angel since obviously I first read it. When I first read Clockwork Angel, I think that might have been back in like 2014 or something like that. Didn't like it. I got to halfway through the book and I was like, no, I can't read this because this is not the Mortal Instruments. I can't remember how much long after I picked back up and I read it, and obviously I really enjoyed it because I was able to kind of see that it's just an extension of the world. I reread it because I've been trying to reread the kind of Shadowhunter books, or as much of them as I can, or the ones that I haven't read for a while, and I really enjoyed this book. Any Mortal Instruments, any Shadowhunter book, I would just love. I love them all with my whole heart, and this was just such an enjoyable read because I haven't been back in this series for a while and I feel like I've forgotten a lot. So going back into it, I was just being like, oh my god, yeah, I remember that, but oh my god, I don't remember that bit. It was just so good seeing some of the characters back. Also reminded me of characters I've forgotten about and traits of characters that I've forgotten about, and it was just really enjoyable. Just want to read the whole series, but I want to do it via audiobook, but on my library the other two aren't available. The next book that I read this month was Wondersmith by Jessica Townsend. This is the second book in the Morrigan Crow series, and I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Obviously I'm not going to go into depth about what this book is about because, you know, it's the second book in the series, but the first book is about a girl called Morrigan. She was born on this kind of day called Eventide, I can never remember how to pronounce it, and because she was born on this day, everybody sees her as being cursed. Everybody blames her for all the bad things that happen in the town and around them, and she's also destined to die on her 11th or 12th birthday, I cannot remember. So when her 11th birthday rolls around and she's basically waiting to die, this man called Jupiter North arrives and whisks her away to this magical land called Nevermore, where she has to compete in these trials to kind of become part of this like wondrous society, this kind of elusive high societal society, basically. Societal society. This is a middle grade series, but I also feel like it's that kind of bridge between middle grade and like YA or teen. It feels a bit more mature for middle grade, but it's still got that kind of whimsical feel of middle grade, and it is such a good series. I love it so much. I think I enjoyed this one more than the first. I just found it so warm and just homely and just so engaging, and it gave me Harry Potter vibes, and not in the sense like, oh, you just stole everything from Harry Potter, but like the whole I'm home, I'm warm, I feel like a child again. In this book, what Morrigan's kind of going to school, so you kind of again get that kind of Harry Potter kind of school vibe, and all the characters are so amazing, so funny, so developed, and the book just kept me hooked, and I just wanted to know more because obviously there is a mystery aspect throughout this, but overall this is just such a fun, engaging read, and they are quite big. For middle grade they are quite big. Like this is like 400 pages. If you haven't read this series, I 100% recommend it because it's just so good. I can't really say much apart from it's so good, so just read it. The next book that I read this month I had to read for university for one of my modules this term, and that was The Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. I always want to be like Frank L. Baum, but I know it's L. Frank Baum. I gave this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I'm not going to talk in depth about this because I did read it for university and not for pleasure. It's not like I hate the story. I love The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz is obviously such a childhood like nostalgic story, and it's the reason why I have one of my favourite musicals and one of my favourite stories, which is Wicked. I don't really know if I want to say much because I haven't really thought of my thoughts about it because I'm literally just thinking about it based on what I need to know about it for my module. I'm just going to say I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars and that's it. The next book I read this month was also another book that I had to read for university, and this is a short story that I had to read, and again I'm not going to go into depth about it, and that is The Birds by Daphne du Maurier. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. I will say that if you've watched the film The Birds, you're probably not going to like this as much. Not much happens. Hitchcock really has only taken the concept and he hasn't really taken anything much else from this story. I barely remember this book anyway because I kind of got to a point where I was bored of it, so I like halfway through I just like skim read it. The next book that I read this month was Letters to the Lost by Bridget Kemmerer. I read this book for the Bridget Kemmerer read along hosted by Jaden over on The Lit Chick, and I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I'm taking part in this read along because if her books keep up to the standard of this, I think I'm gonna have to stand. 4 out of 5 stars. I ended up not actually really writing a review for this on my Goodreads. I feel like while I was reading it I just had no room or no mental capacity to write down my thoughts. I think all my thoughts really were just in my head, and it was just one of those moments where I just didn't write them down. This book is about our main character Juliet, and her mother has recently died. So she is writing letters and putting them by her mum's grave, and then one day this boy, or who she finds out is a boy, starts writing back to her, and they start developing this relationship through the letters. The boy who's writing back is named Declan, and he is known in the school for being, you know, the bad boy because he's recently been arrested for like a drunk driving incident. They obviously don't know who each other is when they're writing the letters, but they know each other kind of outside of school, but they don't know that they are the person they're writing to, if you know what I mean. I completely and utterly enjoyed this book so much. I loved both our characters so much, especially Declan. Declan, he's that stereotypical like bad boy character where everybody thinks he's like a criminal, and he kind of is because he did get arrested. Everyone thinks he's a criminal and he's the bad boy and he's really mysterious, but deep down he's such a sweet heart, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's that stereotypical character, but honestly, I would die for him. Just wanted the world for him because he's been through so much. I love Juliet as well. Again, they're both very complex, very developed characters, and I love them a lot. I love Declan's friend, Rev. He was really great, such a really kind of, like, not a strictly comic relief, but he did kind of serve for like a little bit of funny, but he's also, his friend's also got like a really deep troubled past. The one thing I think I didn't like was Juliet's best friend. She just didn't feel like she was really there. I said this in one of my reading vlogs, that she just felt like one of those friends that is meant to be the best friend but rarely is in the book and doesn't really do much, like some films have that as well. But I still enjoyed this book so much, and near the end I was just like, I need to keep reading because I need to know what's going to happen, or I need to know kind of, are they going to find out who each other is, what's going to happen between them once they do. There were a few things that I did predict, but I wasn't like mad about it. Overall, this book was just so stunning, and I honestly cannot wait to read more Bridget Kemmerer. Obviously, I'll leave all of like Jaden's links and the read-along links in the description below if you guys go check out if you want to join. The next book that I read was Heartstopper Volume 2. This is the correct one, it's Volume 2. Don't need to go into depth about it because we all knew I was gonna love it. I put this in my 5-star predictions video. We all knew I was gonna rate it 5 stars, and I did. Obviously, this is a continuation for the first one. I cried, I laughed. I read this in one sitting. I didn't mean to. I was just like, oh yeah, I'll just like read a few pages. Like I'll read like 50 pages or something. This is a graphic novel, won't take me long. I ended up reading all of it just in one night. I don't regret it because it honestly just was such a good experience, like reading it all at once. I will put more trigger warnings on this for like homophobia, homophobic slurs, but that's really it, I think, for this one. This book more follows Nick, him dealing with his feelings and the kind of him kind of realizing that he might not be straight, him kind of figure out if he is gay or if he's bisexual. That storyline just really resonated with me and was really warm and really genuine, and I really enjoyed it. And this book in general was just so cute and so fluffy. I feel like it was more cute and fluffy than the first one. I don't need to say much more because we all know, as I said, we all know that this book is amazing. Again, if you have not read this series, please do it. You will not regret it. So those are all the books that I like properly read. Like that was like all 8 of them that I like finished in the month of September. I'm now going to go over the books that I've kind of started. I will first talk about the DNF. I started this at the end of the month and DNF'd it after 50 pages. Get some words out, Charlotte. And that was Zenith by Sasha Alsberg and Lindsay Cummings. I've had this book on my TBR for a while and have been meaning to get around to it, and I've been skeptical because obviously I've heard a lot of up and down reviews about this on BookTube. I went in with low expectations. I went in being like, I might not enjoy it, but I also want to enjoy it. I want to be able to really engage and enjoy with this series. But I got 50 pages in and I was like, I don't know if I can continue this. It just felt like a chore reading it, and I felt like even 50 pages in, I just couldn't engage with anything. It was one of those times where I was just reading it and not really taking much in. I can't like say, oh, it was because of this and this within the book. It was because of this thing that they did. I just couldn't engage, so I had to DNF it. I'm not going to get rid of it like I do with most of my DNFs, because I might give it a chance in the future maybe when I have more time to set aside and I'm not like busy with university. It's frustrating because I wanted to like it, but then I also knew that it was a possibility that I might not. The audiobook that I finished like literally yesterday on the 1st of October, which I will talk about my thoughts on it because I'm filming it after I've read it, was Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Another reread. I adored this series so much because it has a very special place in my heart. It was a very good experience listening to it on audiobook and just kind of really getting back into the series. And also I still need to read A Map of Days. I've been waiting for it to come out on paperback, and I think it comes out on paperback like mid-October, so I'll be getting that soon. And I thought it was like kind of really good to like re-listen to or really read the first one. I love this series so much. I know this is a very like you either love it or you hate it kind of sort of series. I very much enjoyed it. It made me literally laugh out loud at some points. I love the narration of Jacob. The other 2 books aren't available on audiobook through my library, so that sucks, but maybe they might become available sometime in the future, who knows, or I might decide to pick them up physically. One of the other books that I have started is not the opposite of always, it is opposite of always. I always forget there's no the at the beginning, by Justin A. Reynolds. Reynolds. I am about 60 pages through this. I was hoping to be more through this, but I've just had a bit of a hectic schedule and a hectic kind of life right now, so I haven't been able to read much of it, but I am really enjoying it. This book is about our main character Jack, and at a party he meets a girl called Kate, and they kind of, you know, start dating, I think, or they kind of, you know, start seeing each other, but then Kate dies, and then somehow Jack, I don't know yet because I haven't got to that point yet, but Jack starts to be able to time travel to go back to the time when Kate died, and he kind of gets a chance to kind of save her, but I think he has to kind of continually do it over and over again. So it is like a contemporary thing, but with a little bit of like sci-fi in there. I'm literally 60 pages in, but I already really love our main character Jack. I'm really excited to continue reading this. I really do want to hopefully finish this week, but I don't know, and it's stressing me out. This is one of the books I'm reading right now that I did start in September, and the last book that I started in September, but literally only read like 30 pages in September, but I'm still going to talk about it, is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I have to read this for university for one of my modules, and I am really enjoying it because it was like published in like the 50s. I was like, it's gonna be a bit of a bore, it's gonna be one of those, you know, classic old novels that are boring, even though it has, you know, it's still not as contemporary as like books are now, and the writing style is different. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm really excited to kind of get into it because I love spooky stuff, and I'm just excited to see, even though I do know it's different from the TV series, the TV series is very different from the book, I'm intrigued kind of to see what this story is like and like how it plays out. So that is it for my September wrap up. I think I filmed that quicker than I thought I was going to. I thought I'd be here for like God knows how long. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books, any of your thoughts on these books. I'm tired and I just want to do nothing, but I have work to do. I've got to edit some stuff. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new here. I make videos twice a week if I can, at least once a week, because I put up reading vlogs every week. I will leave it here, and I will catch you guys in my next video.